So in the last video I did, I talked about some entry-level hardtail mountain bikes, like super entry-level bikes from some big brands. Be aware with those bikes, somebody commented on that video, and I really hadn't thought about this when I made the video, but those bikes come with quick release skewers and not through axles. So this is one of the issues with entry-level bikes. With these bikes having quick release skewers and not through axles, for one, you don't have boost spacing. When you use boost spacing, the hubs are a little bit wider and you're able to build a stronger wheel. And boost spacing and through axles is just kind of the standard in mountain bikes these days. So if you're ever going to upgrade your wheels on one of these entry-level bikes, it could be kind of difficult because most nice wheel sets use through axles. And I also got a lot of comments like, hey, you should check out this bike or you should check out that bike. So the bikes that I have on this list today, they're still entry-level bikes and not necessarily from big bike brands. But in my opinion, these bikes are kind of around the same price point, maybe a little bit more expensive, but they offer a much better bang for the buck. The first bike on the list comes from Canyon. Canyon is consumer direct, so they are able to offer a great bang for the buck. Their entry-level hardtail, the Grand Canyon 5, is no exception. This bike comes in at $700, which is a bit more expensive than some of the bikes featured in last week's video, but this bike has nicer parts than those bikes. The bike comes as an aluminum frame 29er on the medium, large, and XL sizes, and 27.5 on the extra small and small sizes. The smaller bikes have smaller wheels, which helps create consistent riding dynamics across all sizes. The bike uses a Suntour coil fork, but what is really nice is that it comes with a 1x12 Shimano Dior drivetrain and hydraulic disc brakes. Both of those things are nice features on a $700 bike. Unfortunately, this bike uses quick release and not through axles. The next bikes on the list come from Polygon. Polygon is another consumer direct brand that has gained some traction over the years. They have the prices of their bikes on their site, but I also found many of their bikes for nice prices on the Bikes Online website, which is where I think their bikes are primarily sold. They offer the Clio 2 for $499, but this is advertised as more of a commuting bike made for bike paths and city streets with a little bit of off-road riding mixed in. As I continued to look at the bikes on the Bikes Online site, there were a few that seemed like incredible deals. At the time of making this video, the Polygon Syncline C2 is listed on the site for only $800, marked down from $1,600. That bike uses a carbon frame, Suntour shock, 1x drivetrain, and has through axles, but unfortunately they only have that bike in a small. They have the Xstrata 7 listed on their site as a top deal for $900, marked down from $1,100. This is a cross-country bike which uses an aluminum frame with internal cable routing. The bike is offered as 27.5 or 29er depending on the size, and it seems like a really good bang for the buck with this build. On this bike you get through axles, 120mm air spring shock, 1x12 Shimano Dior drivetrain, and hydraulic disc brakes. While this bike is more pricey than all of the bikes listed in my last video, in my opinion a few hundred extra bucks is well worth it for what you get. They have a few other bikes on their site that are more in line with those entry-level prices and are still pretty nice, including the Xstrata 5 for only $500. Next on the list is Norco. The Norco Storm 2 is a bike that someone mentioned I should take a look at. At the time of making this video, Norco had several different variations of the Storm on sale on their site, ranging in price from $400 all the way up to $1,050. The Storm 2 was listed on their site for $649, which is $250 off the regular price. This is an aluminum frame offered as 27.5 or 29er depending on the size, and they actually have an extra small option for those super short people or kids. The bike comes with a 100mm travel front fork, 1x10 Shimano Dior drivetrain, and Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. Unfortunately, like many bikes around this price point, the bike uses quick release. There are some other bikes on their site that look like good options, including the Storm 3 and the Fluid HT2. The Fluid HT2 is listed for $900, which is $300 off. This bike is sweet. It comes as 27.5 or 29er depending on the size, Suntour fork, 1x11 Shimano Dior drivetrain, and Tektro hydraulic brakes. Oh, and another nice feature you don't usually see on a bike at this price point, through axles. And something we have not seen from any of these bikes is a dropper post. So seeing a dropper post on that bike is really nice. You don't usually see dropper posts on bikes at this price point. And while a dropper post is not necessarily the most important thing, I don't think there has been a better invention in mountain biking than the dropper post. Next on the list is Marin. Over the years, I've included Marin in a few of my videos, and they seem to make some really cool bikes at a good value. They have some super entry-level options on their site starting at $350, but what caught my eye was the Bobcat Trail 5 for $700, marked down from $1,000. The bike comes as an aluminum frame 27.5 or 29er depending on the size, 1x11 Shimano Dior drivetrain, hydraulic disc brakes, and Suntour shock. It appears the rear of the bike uses quick release and the front has a through axle. Along with this bike, there seem to be a lot of good bang for the buck bikes on the Marin site. And last but not least on the list is GT. On the last video, I had someone comment that they got a GT Aggressor on a Black Friday deal for $300. While many people probably associate GT with being a cheap brand, they actually make some nice bikes. When I looked at their site, they have an outlet section with a number of bikes that have already been discounted from their retail price. At the time of making this video, they have the Aggressor Sport and Comp listed for $473, but when I looked at the specs, there was nothing to write home about. The bikes have very entry-level parts. The Avalanche Comp, on the other hand, is a bike that catches my eye. They have this bike marked down to $665. This is an aluminum frame 27.5 or 29er depending on frame size. The bike uses a Suntour coil shock, 1x10 microshift drivetrain, and hydraulic disc brakes. Unfortunately, this bike uses a quick release. So there you have it, guys, some more entry-level budget hardtails that I feel provide a pretty good bang for the buck. Now, don't get super hung up on the whole quick release thing. You know, for me, if I'm buying this bike, if I'm buying a mountain bike at all, I want it to have through axles. Just kind of makes things more solid, makes for the ability to build a stronger wheel and have a stronger wheel. You see entry-level gravel bikes that still use, quick release, and I believe the argument can be made that, for a gravel bike, a through axle is not really that big of a deal. You're not really jumping gravel bikes and whatnot, but I think for mountain bikes, they're just really, really nice to see. It's an option you want to see. But if you're going to be riding this bike and not taking it off, gnarly jumps and riding gnarly trails, if you're just kind of riding on some light dirt paths, some mellow single track, or even kind of dabbling with some gravel roads or some paved roads and just kind of using the bike for multiple things, but not really putting it through the paces, you may be just fine with a quick release system. But either way, guys, I appreciate you checking out the video. I'm sure that there are some other budget hardtail mountain bikes that I left off this list. So if you know of any, please comment them below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. And until next time, keep crushing it.